Live from New York City, here are your hosts, Kim Fernandez and Betsy Karetnik on Sirius 112 and XM 157.
But, that's where a lot of kids get in trouble with the shopping. Suddenly they're on their own. They have to get, socks and underwear, stuff. They have to take care of their own lives, and we're supposed to set them up well. And sometimes we do an okay job, and sometimes we need a little help, and that's why Lynn Ballou is joining us, Certified Financial Planner, Blue Plum Wealth Advisors. We have just started this conversation, Lynn, about preparing our college-bound students, and we need a better foundation, frankly.
Well, I was listening in, and I love some of your ideas and some of your witty comments, and having 2 kids in college myself, we could talk.
Oh, I bet. Well, and what's really funny is that you're a professional, and then sometimes you're like, wait a second, I'm not just your mom.
Hey,
I'm
listen,
a professional financial planner.
I love that. How many times have I told my kids, look, people pay me to hear this advice. Don't walk away from me.
I tell them that. When it comes to food and nutrition, I'm like 1 second there.
Yeah.
We can't make a meal out of chips and cake. People tune in every day. I get a paycheck for this. And we're so tired of you, Mom.
And I know, and I tell my kids, hey, look, I'm kind of a nationally known financial advisor, and our last names are the same. It would be really great if maybe you could do a couple of smart financial things.
Yeah, please don't do the headline.
Bringing your name down.
For the before and after. We don't want to know about that.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm a Jewish mom, so guilt works really well.
Oh, I love the Jewish guilt.
Oh, it's art right in the eye. So, Lynn, they're both in college right now?
Well, my son is heading back to California Lutheran, and he leaves, I hope any day now. No offense, Nick, love you. And my daughter is taking a little bit of break from the Fashion Institute, but she needs to go back and finish up. So, yes, I have 2 kids in the various stages of college. So, boy, I can speak whereof from the personal level of, what this is all about and what it's really like.
What do you do?
Well, the good thing for me is that I caught on really early to the idea of letting kids learn to manage their own money. It happened, I had an aha moment at Toys R Us when my son demanded that I buy him something, and I whipped around and looked at it and said, why don't you spend your money on that? And he looks at me and goes, Mom, I don't have any money. And I thought, we have to solve that problem. So from a very young age, I gave them spending money and money to put aside for college and money to put away for gifts for Christmas and things like that, or Hanukkah in our case. And so it was a really young age we started that, but I always felt that by the time they were able to get a driver's license, they also needed to be able to manage their own day-to-day cash, because otherwise, calamities happen. You're driving down the freeway at, we won't discuss what time, with friends in your car, and your tire blows. You need to be able to handle that without calling Mom and Dad, who might not be nearby to bail you out. And so to me, opening a checking account, having a debit card, and getting all that set up about the same time that your kids are driving is, if you haven't done it already, it's a great time to do that.
I want to do it, but I want to do it with little downside risk to me, which we're going to get to.
What we have found is a lot of kids need that first year to be a no-pressure working year, because they are so, getting into the life away from home, and there's so many pressures. They're meeting people. They're trying to figure out how to get to class on time and do their homework and, just run their lives.
Do laundry, and it's not that your mom's going to do it when you're not around, because
no, it's true.
She's not.
And so, a lot of our parents will give, them a free pass the first year, but by the second year, for sure, it's all about sitting down and getting realistic about what that college really costs, between the beer parties and the laundry, and maybe they have to come home during the Thanksgiving, week, and it's, super expensive airfare. I mean, just all the little nooks and crannies need to be explored, and you need to sit down and have an honest chat with your child about what are your expectations of what you are willing to pay for, and what are your expectations for the child. A lot of our parents, our clients, will have their kids work really hard during the summer and then let them just maybe have a part-time job or not work at all during the school year. So sometimes that can be helpful too.
Well, yeah, I could say from my own experience, my parents were very into nothing will interfere with your education.
But I thought it was really interesting that Carla said that her best year was her year when she was actually working. I think that might be because there's that structure and you have to get up every day and do something.
Maybe.
If you don't, and you kind of got this interesting schedule all of a sudden where you go to classes when you feel like it, they're later in the day, you might sleep through a few of those. If you have a job and purpose and a reason to get up and go, maybe that would help out some people. Because I think for me, I need to be more busy than anything.
But the less free time, the less trouble we're likely to get.
Totally.
Financial and otherwise, I'm thinking. But Lynn, before we even send them through the second year, the first year, what have you discovered with your clients and your own family is the best way to set it up so that should you have enough resources, your kids have access to money and they don't run out of money? Because I see it already.
Yeah,
it's not so far in the future where I get that phone call, Mom, I'm out of money.
Yeah, and this is where, again, I hate to keep pounding this point in, but it's such a great idea to start this while they're at home in high school, because if you give them a budget during high school while they're at home and they run out, they can, at least they're at home and they're not going to starve to death, but they kind of get it, and by the time they go to college, they're better off. But sometimes it's tough love, and, you were talking earlier about, if you had called your parents at the middle or end of the month and said, hey, I need more money, they would have said, bummer.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
You have a meal plan. So
I'm sorry, who are you again? Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. Sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Yeah.
But I think what's really important is to do a macro, 20,000-foot level review before the school year starts of what all the things are that school is all about. Talking to students who go to that school, taking them out to lunch, taking their parents out to lunch or dinner if they live in your community, or just getting on the phone, going to the school orientations and really scheduling it out. And then with my kids, what I found was very successful is not to give them a monthly allowance per se, but maybe every other week I would drip in $100. And that way, they couldn't get themselves into some irrevocable trouble where I was, as a Jewish mom, thinking, oh my God, my children are starving to death. Which is something I can't live with. So, it's really a matter of knowing your kids and knowing yourself and dripping it in. And what we did, we'll get trial by fire here, we went ahead for our son and gave him the credit card, the debit card, the account and all that. And the kid went off to Boise and had way too much fun, and the credit card bills were just unbelievable. So my daughter was so not like that. We gave her all of those things, and she was an amazing budgeter and stayed within her limits and only used the credit card for an emergency once and things like that. So again, so we had to nix the credit card. Now they have one of the good things about the new financial reform is, a lot of these credit card companies like American Express, for example, if you have an American Express card, they'll do a spin-off card for your child with a preset limit that they cannot go over, and that credit card has to be paid every month. And then other cards, I think Discover Card has a student a credit card now that also has some similar things going on. But we've told our kids, and I think my son really learned his lesson because I made him pay off the balance on the credit card. It's like, look, credit cards are for emergencies. This is not a play money sort of thing. You're not playing Monopoly. It really needs to be the debit card, the checking account, and you really need to learn to live within your means.
And if not, you have a meal plan and there's no more money coming in at the moment.
Yeah, or if you're renting a place, hopefully you have a really nice girlfriend.
So what I'm hearing from you is get them a baby card. Do not get them and discourage them from getting a full-fledged, you have a $2,500 limit or a $3,000 limit on this card, because they could conceivably and have spent $3,000.
And mine did. And, you would think I would know better, but, I thought, okay, we've really watched him, we've worked with him, everything's been great during high school, but what I didn't put my finger on was the peer pressure.
Totally.
Yeah, and the guy peer pressure. And he was, he's an athlete, and so he was on a team and lots of athletes and the upperclassmen, he wanted to impress them.
Let's go out. We're going to have a couple meals.
Let's have Nick pay for it,
beers.
They're taking me with them, so sure, So anyway, yeah. Again, it's knowing your child, so shame on me, but, we nipped that in the bud right away, and he learned a huge lesson, and the kid has now got what I call credit card phobia. He sees a credit card, and he actually just has one tucked away in the bottom of the sock drawer for an emergency, and he doesn't even believe in using them. So, he learned his lesson, and thank God it was a tough way to learn it, but, whatever.
And we've learned some of it from you. So no front-loading the card too much or front-loading an account, because I don't want to say kids can't be trusted.
I like that you trickle the money in every other week or so.
We can't be trusted, right?
Yeah.
Some of us at large, you learn this, I'm sure, Lynn Ballou, in your business, that when you have money, you spend money, and sometimes when you have credit, you spend credit.
But our goal, I think, as parents is to understand that our life with our children is somewhat of a relay race. You are the one who gets the baton when your child is born, but your job is that by the time your child is pretty much done with school, the baton has been pretty much completely passed from you to your child, and it's a very freeing thing for the parent, and it's a really great thing for the child. But so I like to segue in those junior and senior years, and maybe even into graduate school is better for some kids, the ability for them to pay all their bills. And so if you've done a good job, then this
you give them the money to pay all their bills?
Yeah, you know where I learned this? I learned this from my father. This is what my father did when I was at UCLA. in my junior and senior year, he gave me at the beginning of every quarter the entire money for tuition and books and the co-op and everything I needed. Plus, I was working and paying for half of it, too. And he said, you know what, if you run out, I don't want to hear about it. But this is, and he would sit down with me and he would help me with the budgeting and tell me who had to get what, when, and where. So by the time I graduated from college, I was set and ready to sail. And it was a huge gift. And so it's something that we've done for our kids, and it's working well for them now after a few misstarts.
Well,
and
advanced proficient. You have to learn by doing.
Definitely true.
Hey, do you have an online component where people can find out more about you and your business?
Oh, thank you for asking. We are at www, of course, .BallouPlum.com.
Oh, you got to spell that.
Thank you. It's BALLOU, and my partner's name is Plum, PLUM, so it's BallouPlum.com.
Excellent. And you know what? We wrote it all down, too, folks, just in case you're driving and you don't have a pencil and a paper. Because you know what? Preparing the kids for another generation of people who work, that's one of the most important lessons of college, right? You learn to read, you learn to write, you learn to do math, and you have to keep track of all those dollars. So I thank you, Lynn, for getting up super early and joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day,
financial planner. I'm sure it's not the last time we're going to be talking to you.
Congrats on raising 2 kids going to school, girl. It's pretty cool.
It is. It is. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah. You never know.
Fingers for mine, too.